What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another live live to roll. Too late, Bobby. Too late. What's up, everybody? We're back with another live show for you guys this week. Um, let's get quite right into these intros. I'm Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 19 years ago. So we go the other order again. We going Bobby now, and then all right,
Yeah,
Bobby.
it's perfect timing because right at 3:30, trash man's doing right outside my window. So perfect timing for the trash man. But hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Bobby Rohan, C56 quad as well. Paralyzed. I have no idea anymore. Tom, take it away.
What is going on? Back from Phoenix. Had a great time at the Abilities Expo this weekend. I am Tom Conaway, as I'm sure you all know. And if not, now you know. I am a C6B quadriplegic, so I'm an incomplete quad for the last 26 years. And yeah, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, sex. But not just sex. We're talking about relationships and intimacy. We were supposed to have two amazing, lovely guests on. They unfortunately experienced a loss over the weekend, so our thoughts and prayers are with them and their loved ones and the fam and people, and hope that they're doing okay. And we're going to have them back on in a couple months
Yeah,
for
come.
another sex episode. We might talk a little bit more in regards to like sex on that episode. But today we're going to try to, yeah, cover what we can. This is a super important topic. Mickey commented, "I really get on with their live, but I'm having second thoughts now." No worries. This is a can be a hard topic for some people, or not everyone's just into listening to this stuff. Totally cool. No pressure, but
No,
relationships and
no,
intimacy, I think, are like an important, healthy part of life, right, Bobby?
it does. But I'll tell you one thing about Mickey. She told me a little tidbit that she watches this. Not. I don't think it's the topic. It's. I think. And Mickey, you have to put this in the chat because you admitted to me that at night when you're in bed, you listen to it and usually fall asleep. So,
I
all right.
do. I actually
Hey,
remember her saying that too. She
yeah,
did.
so she said that. So,
She does.
Mickey, you have to admit she doesn't join live, but thanks for joining us live, Mickey.
Nikki. I mean, Mickey.
She said,
It was a friend of the guest we were supposed to have on. So nobody we know personally from the community. Um,
Yeah.
no, but we still, we had to reschedule, and it's totally okay. I just wanted to, mention it, just to, send them some extra love and some extra energy. Our friends Rocky and Sarah, we love you guys, and we're looking forward to getting you on the show when you're able to. And yeah, so
yeah. Unfortunately, there's
we're
stuff just updates today.
go ahead, Bob. Go ahead,
But
Sean.
you asked
Sorry.
me a question and I derailed it. But what was your question?
Where do you guys want to start? What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think if
I know.
I think
I was gonna do relationships first, but if you wanna, you're already excited about the sex topic and looking up. So if
Well,
you want to flip it and do, usually
oh,
relationships
uh,
come first, but not for everybody. So
no, that's true. I mean, well, let's talk about it, Sean. Did you? I don't know. This is also kind of the unique thing about the show too. Is I don't know, like Sean and Bobby. I don't know. Did you guys experience like intimacy before your injury,
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know about.
Bobby?
I was 20. I had just turned 21, so not a lot, but I had some experience with.
Yeah, okay. No, for sure. Um, yeah, and that's I know. I think I was injured in my adolescence. I That's all I've known is like my quad bod, I like to call it, and like understanding that. So I can definitely like talk from my perspective a little bit, but I think I'm in the minority in regards to it, and I think probably one of the most important conversations to have surrounding intimacy is rediscovering it following your injury. I know that it's not an easy road for a lot of people, men and women, rediscovering how your body works, understanding that part of it, kind of coming to terms with things being different too, things not functioning the same way that they did. I just know that that's probably what we like talked about most in support groups and things like that. So I definitely do want to talk about that, but personally, I it's hard for me to speak on it because I didn't deal with that so much, and that I was injured before I hit puberty. So all of, like, my discovery of sexual function and stuff like that came just as a quadriplegic. So Bobby, what was that like for you? Was it difficult rediscovering it?
I didn't discover it yet. I didn't
So
discover
Bobby
it.
was, because you were 17 when you got injured, right, Bobby?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and usually that's about the time I had a girlfriend at the time.
uh,
Um, I was selfish. I mean, I didn't want a girlfriend throughout high school because I was busy playing sports.
uh,
And one gal on my swim team really liked me, and it just became a friendship. But I just told her, when I got time, I'll spend some time with you, but I'm gonna be really selfish. So I think we dated 6 months, and then my accident happened, and um, I never, what do you call it? I never took it to home base, let's say,
yeah,
and uh, and that's okay. I mean, you know, if I was young like you, Tom, I think it wouldn't bother me. But being so close, I'm like, dang, if I only could have
yeah,
just experienced it once. But I think it actually helped me being more intimate with the people I've been with after my injury,
yeah,
um, and discovering that, and not having to compare it to before. Um, I know that a lot of people and a lot of husbands are, um, they're devastated because that's a big part of their life, and
yeah,
especially when I worked at Rancho in here, and I know in the Hispanic culture, it was huge discussion for men. You know,
yeah.
uh, they didn't like it at all. But for me, you know, I think it's a good thing that I probably didn't, and now I got to learn it, I guess, the correct way for it's supposed to be for this quadriplegic life I've lived for the last 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And so, I think it made it easier to
Uh,
transition into that, if you know what I'm saying.
no, I mean, totally. It makes a lot of sense. I just want to say shout out to our good buddy Roy,
Yeah, we
who
got to meet
we
Roy over the weekend. So
hang
great
out
meeting you.
with Roy. And if you caught one of our Abilities Expo shows, I think it was on Saturday. Roy popped on for a few minutes. I got to say hi and hello to your beautiful, amazing wife Rose as well. Roy and Rose, you guys are awesome, and it was just such a pleasure to hang out and yeah, meet this weekend. So going back to what you were saying, Bobby, I don't know if being injured early on and never experiencing it, like, I don't know, like, I mean, it's tough. My perspective is so unique. I know I hit puberty. It was like going through high school and all my friends were dating and like starting to have sex and stuff and started to talk about it. I'm like, oh shit, like what's that gonna be like for me? I knew like right from the get go, right from the start, it was gonna be different and kind of like you know and I was able to kind of learn and understand early on that, sex and intimacy isn't, just like two bunny rabbits, banging away, and that's that, like that's sex. It's so much more than that, like the um, act of being intimate with your partner, is uh, whatever that is for you, whatever that definition is for you and your partner. It doesn't necessarily have to mean like traditional sex, like what is considered traditional or normal. Like intimacy comes in many different shapes and forms, and it is what you make it. And understanding that Yeah, definitely. I think it was easier not maybe having had the experience beforehand because I just had nothing to compare to. But I don't know. I mean, even as a 30-year-old and a quadriplegic who does have sexual function, I I don't know. It still sucks sometimes. It's still just like, damn, like it would have been awesome, or it'd be awesome to just like know what this would be like without all the caveats and all the workarounds and uh, but again, I don't get lost in that. And I don't even waste time thinking about it or worrying about it. Like it might be an errant thought that like pops in my head sometimes. If I end up getting frustrated for one reason or another, but um, I yeah, it's not something that is very very bothersome to me.
I
Except
think
in
one of the things for a lot of people, like they get injured later in life, the issue is they've been so used to, they probably just had basic sex and that's what they've known for all their life, and then now they're not able to do that, and they think like their sex life is done. They think it's over. They're not really thinking outside of like it doesn't have to be just, and even in that case most of the time people can still have sex after, traditionally it might not feel the same and things, um but yeah, they're a little bit more stuck in their bubble as far as what intimacy is. They've
yeah
kind of been like, they just haven't opened their mind to that kind of stuff yet. So for me at 21, I had a little bit of sexual experience. Like at least I did have, but not a lot. But I feel like for me, like the very first time, I'll be honest, I cried. I was so sad, like because it didn't feel like it did before. Like the first time, like I was bummed. I was not excited about it. Um, but I feel like I was young enough to where I could still, like you, like just figure it out as a quadriplegic. Like it seemed like yeah, just something to work on, and intimacy became a whole nother thing for me. So
Yeah, and I don't know. Derek just says made the best comment. Ain't nobody got time for negative energy, bro. Especially when they're trying to get jiggy with it, and that is absolutely true.
that's
If you are, I mean, I promise, if you're like pursuing intimacy, if you're pursuing a relationship, there's no quicker mood killer than bringing negative energy into it in regards to like your performance or function. Like that it shouldn't be in your mind. And I don't know, like it's impossible to not be nervous. Like, the first time you're intimate with somebody that you haven't been with before. That's just the rules of the game. And also, it's way different for us, it's as quadriplegics or, any level of spinal cord injury or disability or, level of function, sexual function. It is nerve wracking how you're going to be perceived by that partner, by that person. I always make sure that I know and trust and I'm comfortable with the person, and know that like hopefully they're not going to give me it's going to be a good experience. It's not going to be a bad reaction that's going to affect me in a negative way or affect my insecurities or my confidence. But like that's me. There's always that risk. You meet somebody and like that's their reaction or whatever, but I don't know. I think there's a lot you can do in the way of communicating and getting to know somebody to avoid negative experiences like that.
You got.
But we're
I have to right now salute Roy. I have to salute you, man. That was the best comment.
yeah. Roy and Mickey both have some funny comments in there.
Oh yeah.
Roy,
So, oh my God, buddy.
um, and I don't know. I think that's a part of it too. Is you got to be able to laugh and joke. Laugh at the silly moments, laugh at the awkward moments. Like it is what it is. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but like I promise, if something awkward happens or like something related to your disability happens or whatever, if you can like laugh it off and make light of it or just like um, have again just a positive perspective on this situation instead of getting frustrated and wrapped up in the negative, like that is always going to lead you in a better direction and more positive and happier, healthier experiences. um, but yeah.
It is.
um,
It is. Roy just said it awkward. At first, it's. Um, probably for Tom and I, we had a. Not that we experienced it before, so just I'm sure Tom, you felt I was like, finally, 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 at age 20, man, I can, check done with that, now that I've been with somebody in that sense. And she had, she had been in a previous relationship before me, so, she was fine with showing me some of the ropes, you know, and I got to learn with that person in the sense of, okay, it's not the same. And it was before the days of Viagra too, and Cialis and all that. So it was, a lot of it was, hit and miss. So a lot of times it was miss. It was mornings, it was a hit, but it was, hurry, 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 like, okay, I'm waking up. Hold on, hurry. And so those things, didn't become the main thing because I didn't we didn't rely on that part. We didn't rely on Viagra. We didn't rely on the medications they have now, and we just relied on intimacy about our bodies and about what we're accomplishing and letting each other figure out and what feels good. And I'll be honest, I figured out that really it's anything from the neck and the ears are just over the top, and that I found out that's what I enjoy the best when uh, how do I say it properly? When the time, when we're at
It's
it,
okay. You can just say it. It's all right. I'm just kidding. No, we
well,
totally get what you mean, though.
when
We totally
everything's
get what you
hot,
mean.
when everything's
Uh,
hot and heavy, and all of a sudden she
yeah.
goes for that part, I'm like, whoa, whoa, no, and
Now, now here's something else too. Intimacy doesn't have to involve a partner. Masturbation is a thing. That was like my first kind of sexual self-discovery was like figuring out how to masturbate. I don't know if you ever did that, Bobby or Shawn. I think like masturbation is like a super healthy practice. Even if you are disabled, maybe even more so if you're disabled. And it is, I think, super important and instrumental in kind of rediscovering your sexual function. It can be great with a partner, and like there's some maybe even easier with a partner in some respect, but I think also maybe it can be easier in some respect on your own, trying to figure things out, by yourself without the pressure of a partner or the distraction of a partner or like a situation like that, and just like understanding your own body and figuring out how things work. And yeah, I don't know. I was just like a horny teenager, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on? What's going on down there?" But then it's got me started down the rabbit hole because I went on to the sci.rutgers.edu, the spinal cord injury. It's called CareCure. It's like a forum online for spinal cord injury resources, and it's just other spinal cord injured individuals, but also a few nurses and doctors moderate the forum and comment with their knowledge and expertise. And it was really um, important and like instrumental, like part of like my kind of sexual self discovery was um, getting online, going to the forums, reading about people's experiences with erections and sexual function and masturbation and sex and stuff. And I don't know, that's where I figured it all out. And here's the other thing too. A lot of people, and I think, especially following their injury, like either expect things to maybe start to work, and if they don't start to work, then maybe they've just lost it all. I don't know. I don't know, started getting like erections like after I hit puberty. It was like 12, 13 years old or whatever. I wasn't until I was 17 years old until I had my first orgasm. It was lots of like years and years and years of uh, trying to figure out how my body worked and stuff, and reading forums and studies online and all the statistics and I mean, everything you can imagine. I mean, I always joke like I feel like I've read every scientific study surrounding like sexuality and spinal cord injury for men and women that's ever been done, just because like I uh, I don't know, I wanted to educate myself. But also my partner has a disability as well. So I want, I've since like wanted to like learn as much as I could and like just to be like a good partner for her as well. Like help her understand as much as she can and stuff. But I think I think it's a healthy route to go, but I know it can be very, very difficult for some people, depending on your home situation, depending on your care situation. It's like depending on your level of injury. Like how the hell do you figure that out? And there are ways, but let's have me stop hogging the masturbation conversation. Shawn, take it away.
Well, I was gonna say one thing about that though. It does help because then you're not so unsure and you're a little more confident when you do find your partner and you have a relationship. That way, you're not going into it trying to figure it out like right then and there. So that's why it is good to have your own self experimentation. Figure things out. So, and
I
I want to shout out Wheelchair Ghost, who we also met over the weekend in the chat. Also mentioned, yeah, only fools
And his
deny
comment is
masturbation.
very accurate. Only fools and liars deny masturbation. It's true. It's
you
true.
know, and I mean, and to be honest, before my accident, I was a late bloomer in that department. And you know, after my injury, you know, it just didn't do the same for me. And so I don't, and I'm not trying to be, that fool or a liar but it wasn't that, and I didn't. It was hard for me because kind of like what I brought up. I didn't have the experience before my injury of going to home base, but I did with the masturbation, and so when
Yeah.
it didn't accomplish the same thing, I was like, it just rather wait until I meet somebody and let's see then. And then when I finally met somebody a few years after my injury, it was just like, oh, this is way better. I'd rather
Yeah.
be with somebody, and I'm sure a lot of people are, but I do miss it. I'm just like sometimes I'm like, just wish I can, release some tension here,
Yeah.
um, and it just doesn't happen for me. And I have. It's not like I stopped trying. I've tried over and over, but it just doesn't. It just doesn't do it the same, and the
Yeah.
release isn't there, and the frustration's there. So it's more like, hey, hon, where are you?
Yeah. And there's nothing problem with that, especially like, if depending on your stage in life, if you have a partner, like that's your intimacy, like that's fine. That's perfectly healthy too. Like uh, like, you know, my situation was different. I just meant to say that um, that is a way to explore sex, explore your sex, and mostly like your sexual function, like individually, um, like in just like what I said before. I think sometimes it can be easier. Sometimes you can learn and understand and focus on your body a little bit better, on your own without a partner. But yeah, and I think what Wheelchair Ghost meant by that comment too is just some people have a very negative, bad opinion of masturbation. It's like very, very typical, and lots of cultures, lots of religions, and like lots of adults like really think masturbation is taboo or that it's like an unhealthy action, which it is not. If anybody
It's
told you that,
actually very
that's what
healthy.
you heard. It's actually very healthy, and I
There's
think yeah,
there's a study that says that if you can release ejaculation 20 times per month, it decreases your chances of prostate cancer
I
by
was gonna actually, I think I read
by
that same. I
16
know
or
with prostate cancer.
80%, something like that. I wish I knew the number, but there is studies out there that shows it is actually a healthy thing.
I think like mental health as well.
Yeah,
I know that I know it. The old wives' tale, right? You go blind, grow hair on your palms. That's
hair in
so
your
funny.
palms.
That was somebody's costume at Halloween one time. They had like fur on their palms and like the blacked out glasses, and I'm like,
That's
"What
a
are
funny
you?" And
costume.
I
That's
got the joke. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny."
Pretty good.
But I like Mickey's comment too. You got to put in the work to work it. That's just kind of what we're saying is, you do. You have to figure it out. You got to figure it out on your own in some respect. I think before you're maybe ready for the next level of that. But again, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's situation and context of their lives is different. Their level of function, their access to sex toys, their access to privacy, their access to like caregivers or people who are willing to like help them set up or whatever, like it everybody's different, and everybody's situation is very different, and that's just the nature of life. I do really recommend taking your sexual wellness and health and function seriously, even if you do have a disability and maybe feel like you lack sexual function or whatever. I think just like the big overreaching point of this is to uh, just take it seriously if you want to, if that's what you feel inclined to. There are some people out there that are like asexual that don't have any interest, and they are perfectly fine and happy and healthy without it, and that's perfectly fine too. But I don't know. I guess the point is that it's totally okay. Now, do we want to maybe talk about sex toys too? Um, well, let's go. Let's
We can
go
get
over
into it a little bit, but I do want to say some of that for because that's actually one of the things that Sarah, who the guest was supposed to be on, Sarah and Rocky, they do like some sex toys and different intimacy things like that. Um,
Well, let me talk
it-
about this,
go
and
for
here's what I really think is important. Sexual function following paralysis. What does it look like? How does it work? What's the terminology? How can you have a conversation about this with your partner or with a doctor or with anybody? So let's talk about it a little bit. Most common uh, function that's normally recognized is following paralysis are reflex erections. So there's two kinds that are very common. There's psychosomatic sexual response, which is you're just horny and your body's releasing the hormones and releasing the hormones that trigger an erection or arousal, which is basically like blood flow to your genitals, and that's true for men and women. It's the same thing for women. Like increased like blood flow and circulation, like is the same for women, and their sexual function. It's just a little bit more obvious in men because of our parts down there.
it.
Now that is not as common for quadriplegics and paraplegics following spinal cord injury. What is more common, and this is more common for incomplete injuries in both varieties, paraplegics and quadriplegics, are reflex erections, which are erections as a result of direct stimulation. Um, now,
And
generally, go ahead,
that's
Sean.
what most I think quadriplegics typically deal with. Um,
Yeah.
I know because I was actually talking to Luis about this yesterday on the drive back because he's the opposite. Me, I'm gonna call out Sarab too in the chat. Hell on wheels. We're reflexic, but Luis is since he's a low level injury because he's an L injury and he's more incomplete. He is not. He actually has to get mentally stimulated like natural, and it's actually harder for him. He's actually saying he's jealous of our reflexic. Um,
Well, here's the other thing too, and I don't know, like this is always held true for me. I don't know if it's the same for anybody else. Like, if my head's not in it and like the mental part isn't there, like I'm not in it. Like my body, like my sexual response isn't the same. Like the reflex response isn't the same, or at least like my ability to like orgasm is definitely way harder. But again, like I'm not really wasting time like trying to if I'm not in the mood. You know what I mean? Um, so I don't know. Like I think the some people are just lucky, where they don't have to deal with, um, like direct stimulation in order to like get an erection. And I don't always either. Even as a quad, like morning wood, like that. weird response a lot of guys get in the morning. Like that's still a thing, for me, and I think a lot of quadriplegics following injury. Like I don't know, I still get random boners sometimes. Like it just is what it is. Like I don't know why it happens, but
It's embarrassing
when
when you're out and you gotta hide that.
when it comes to um, like if yeah, if I am in the mood or if I want to be intimate with my partner or something, that's usually what you got to do is like direct stimulation in order to um, get an erection. Now, maintaining an erection, especially for quadriplegics and definitely a lot of paraplegics too, is maintaining the erection once you get one. Viagra, the little blue pill, Cialis, ED medication. There's lots of different ones out there. I think the generic name for the one that I get now is called Sildenafil, which is just like generic Viagra. Um, they it again depends on who you are, but works well for me. Works well for a lot of people that I've discussed this topic with. But there are also some sexual aids in the way of like devices too. Like there are rings and stuff that could help like maintain your erection and
Pumps as well.
yeah, pumps.
Yeah,
Exactly. And then this
for sure.
is kind of a little bit more extreme. Individuals that can't get reflex erections or psychoactive erections, um, then there are shots. Bobby, what's the name of the? It's called Trimex, I believe so.
Yeah,
And it
three
sounds a
different.
little crazy, but
Yeah,
it's
that
just
one
like
sounds
an insulin.
crazy.
It's like an insulin needle, and it is a needle and an injection, and you inject it into your penis,
Yeah, directly
and it
into
uh, causes to stand to attention. It causes an erection. Um, some people have had great success with this. Me personally, even if I didn't have my level of sexual function, I can't really speak to that because I don't know how I would feel. But I don't know, needles scare the shit out of me, and especially the thought of like poking one into my penis. Nope, nope, nope. That kind of kills the mood for me right there. Not saying that I would have that opinion if it did work for me and it was like a reliable thing and like that's what helped my function. But I don't know. I have like a weird phobia of needles. I have a hard time giving my blood, so I don't know. I'm very lucky, and I feel thankful that I don't have to deal with that. But Bobby, you have experienced the Trimax, kind of bad experience though, right? If I'm not
yeah.
speaking.
I kind of remember this.
I got both. I mean, it was great. I,
Yeah,
you know, you can stick a needle in me all day. You know, I
You that doesn't
and
bother you, Bobby, at all?
shots, needles, tattoo. I mean, bring it on. Come on. No pain, no gain. That's how I see it. Um, I've never been afraid of needles or um, like when I've gone into surgery. I want to watch it, but they got to put you to sleep on some, on most of them. But one time I split my eyebrow wide open. I was had a wheelchair crash and my eye was split open, and my girlfriend said, "Oh, come to my family doctor. He'll stitch you up," because I didn't want to go to the ER. And he's like, about to put the needle there. I'm like, I don't need this numbed. Let's go. Let's just start going. And he's just going away. He's like, damn, you're tough. And my girlfriend passed out. So I'm not afraid of needles. But getting back on track of,
Even
yeah, what's that?
I said, even in the wiener?
Even in the wind, not
I don't know.
thinking
It's
that.
easier for me to take shots where I don't have sensation and below my level of injury.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I don't have
it's true.
sensation on my, like genitals. So like it wouldn't be like the worst thing in the world getting a shot because like I just wouldn't feel it. But I don't know. Like I couldn't watch that. Someone would have to do it. I couldn't do it myself.
Yeah, no, I'm bring it on. I just
Yeah,
never bothered me. Acupuncture, oh, I love
yeah.
acupuncture. picture.
But
Would you
it can be more intense. The reaction to like Trimax and stuff can be more intense. Like that
So
warning where it's like if you have an erection that lasts more than 4 hours, seek medical assistance immediately. Well, that is a very real side effect of Trimax, and it's a more extreme, like eating treatment.
you know,
Um,
so I'll give you this, Tom. The Trimix, it was amazing because like even with Viagra, my erections only go for 3 5 minutes top. It's like it still did. But with the Trimix, yeah, I'm good for a while. And yes, there has been a time. I know you're looking at your girlfriend over there, if she is over there, because your eyeballs are over there too much. But yes, there was a time that
She's messing with me
lasted.
too. So go ahead.
Tell her I said hello and tell her not to think of me in this way. But yes, I had to go to the ER and I had to say, yep, that commercial. And they said, it's happening. And I said, oh, yeah. And so, yep, I had to have it drained pretty much. So that
ah,
needle is a lot worse.
Yeah, see
And
that is scary. That's
what it was is that urologist that gave me the dose it was too high to start from with. And after talking to another one that was like, are you crazy? That's what she started you on, which was I think 20. And he goes, I start people with like 2 or 3 milliliters or whatever. It's not much. You don't need much. And
yeah,
so that it works better for me, but it's just more of a pain in the ass. You keep it in the fridge. It's not the most romantic thing when you're like, all right, let's get it out, and get the needle. Unlike, my other second favorite is the 1-a-day Cialis. The
yeah,
great thing about it is I get way more erections a lot more of the time throughout the day, so it can help in a relationship. The worst part about it is, not only am I trying to drive, but I'm trying to drive around, something that's sticking, straight up, and I'll just, you know, and it's funny, even when I'm not on any ED medications, my car seat, for some
I'm,
reason,
I'm the same thing, Bobby. I swear to God,
I
driving boners.
don't
It's
know
a
what,
real
yeah,
thing all the time. I'm like, what is happening with this drive?
like I've given people rides, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm trying to shift in a way, and and there's been times when I've made a turn, I'm like, dang, like
I've lost
I'm
my cell phone before. I keep my cell phone on my lap all the time when I'm driving, and I don't notice it's moving around down there. I'm like, and off the side of the fucking lap, my lap it goes. I'm like,
yeah, and then
like
there's times
no.
we'll pull up in the driveway, and my wife's like, okay, let's hurry, let's hurry. I get my chair, and I'm like, no, it's gone. She's like, but the one part it did help me is, like I said, I was 17 and I didn't lose my virginity. But one day I was driving back up to go see my parents, which they were living right next to my high school. And I said to my wife, hey, I got something there. She's like, yeah. And I go, can we pull it? And it was like a Saturday or a Sunday. I'm like, can we pull into the parking lot of my high school and knock it out? And she's like,
The high
why?
school
I'm
parking.
like, so I can say I got laid in my high school parking lot. You know, I don't care how many years later it was, but at least I can say that. So every time we drive by that parking lot, I'm like, yeah, had sex
Yeah.
there.
uh,
That's funny,
that,
Bob.
it's the vibration, you guys. It's the vibration of the car.
No, it doesn't.
It might
No,
be.
I'm
It
just
could be.
teasing.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
it might be something to do with the transferring too. Like that sometimes it's like a trigger for me too. Is like I'll transfer into bed and it's like, whoa, what's going on there? But again, that might be just the nature of like the reflex erections and like when you are transferring and stuff, like stimulation, like how you're moving depending. But we're gonna move away from the sex talk a little bit.
But I want to say
We
one thing about that. I want to say one thing. What my doctor did
go, Bobby.
mention. Yeah, no, what my doctor did mention, not that it's only uh, the vibration, but she said because it's a lot salt. She goes, do you have a cushion on your chair? And I said, no. And she said, that solid seat puts your prostate in a better position to gain that erection. So
Yeah.
that's what it really was. In bed, you're laying in something soft that you're kind of coming down, so there's no pressure on the prostate. And a lot
Yeah.
of times when that gets stimulated, you know what happens.
Well, and that is just like the last thing we're going to touch on because I think it's just like the important
Yeah.
parts of like just the sexual function side of being disabled and stuff is how what are the methods, how or is one most likely to like achieve orgasm if like that's your goal, if you're trying to rediscover that. Vibratory stimulation is probably the number one most common tool utilized by paraplegics and quadriplegics, which is just sounds like what it is, vibration. There's some really intense vibrators out there. Do not invest in the Ferticare,
Yeah.
which is like a $900 just like weird sex toy that's like a medical device that's marketed to quads. Is bullshit. Go on Amazon, buy a magic wand. That's all you need. Get just as intense vibrations from it. If anything, you're looking for instead of like higher frequency vibration, you want higher amplitude, which is like um, the range in which the vibration moves. So not the speed at which it vibrates, but like the intensity of the vibrations, like the up and down. It's called the amplitude. Now you can look at all those finer details when you're shopping. I don't mean to get too technical, but I think it's just super important when like doctors and people are talking to quads and paras about vibratory stimulation stuff. I don't know. I've never had that mentioned to me before. Is that like frequency isn't as important as like amplitude in the vibration. Now, this is coming from a lot of studies that I've read in regards to like vibratory stimulation and ejaculation and orgasm. This is just like all the findings in the studies that I read. So again, hope that makes sense. The other toys are your friend. Don't be afraid of sex toys, people. Sex toys are awesome. Sex toys aren't emasculating or anything, especially with a partner. Can't tell you if you can like relax and don't have like a mental barrier in regards to like your openness to sex toys. Sex toys are great. They can make giving pleasure to your partner and stuff so much easier. Can make getting pleasure from your partner or like masturbating and like figuring it out yourself. Sex toys are great, people. So don't be afraid of them. Don't be embarrassed by them. They are tools to help better enable your sexual function and your sexual independence. So if they're there and they're available, no reason you should, shy away from them or feel insecure, having to like utilize or rely on sex toys or anything like that because they're awesome and they're fun and they're cool. So sex toys are great. And then Bobby mentioned it again. This is a little bit more advanced. Like for if you're struggling achieving orgasm, and again, orgasm is should be the last thing you're thinking about when it comes to like intimacy and sex. Um, but if that's your thing, that's the other like most common way um, quads and pairs are able to achieve orgasm is prostate stimulation. But y'all are gonna have to research that and figure it out yourself
Now, I've
because we're
never
not.
done it. I haven't done
not
it that way. But, you know, and I'm going to tell you something about, for orgasms and everybody's different. But my orgasms, 90%, 95%,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right. And
Yep.
what feels good, and I can't take it anymore. And, you know, thinking about that, I'm through, another minute and uh, it's done. It doesn't have to be the ejaculation part.
Yeah.
And I'm satisfied. I didn't need to see anything and clean up anything. But so I just want, I try to really put that in a lot of people who are wondering about sex. And I said, really? It's all about what you do in your head. It's
Yeah.
about how you feel, what how you work with your wife on what feels good, what works, what doesn't. Is it, can you get, is it getting on your side or being on your elbows, or can you get on top? What is going to work for you? There was one time, there's that, I think you can get it still today, the uh, intimacy chair. What was that chair?
It's called the Intimate Rider,
Intimate
and
rider.
it's probably
Yeah,
like the worst designed sex toy ever.
For
Sorry.
quads, it's hard for quads. If you're
yeah. My
lower,
wife, like, showing me, like, let's do it, and I'm just like, by the time we get my ass in there and stuff, you're gonna not want to be in the mood anymore. I'm definitely not gonna. Being 6'3", 6'2", whatever I am now, um, my legs are gonna be flopped over. No, it didn't look fun. So, but we move on to other things, and like you said, invest in, have fun with your partner with toys. Discover some things. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some things that crack us up, and we have fun with it anyway. Especially if anybody out there in the land, and people who really know me, they're going to be, hope you can look at me the same. But the accommodator, was the best and the funnest tool, toy out there. So
Well,
we don't.
and I mean that's the thing. Like if you can get out of your head, like um, the the tools out there are there. Um,
It's
and
like getting out of your head what you see, if you're watching a pornographic movie, and then relate it to more what you probably see in a rated R movie. You know,
yeah, well, don't watch porn and that set your expectation like that's going to be sex. 'Cause that's
exactly.
not. That's not.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
not how it works. That's not real life. I mean, you can have. I don't know. It can feel like that, but the reality is it's not that. Um, and just to reiterate this again too, everybody's different. Everybody's injury is different. Everybody's level of function is a little bit different. How everybody functions is a little bit different. Um, I really recommend, not shying away from it. If it is something that, it's important to you or whatever, you're trying to rediscover it, talk to a doctor about it. Like that, I remember my physiatrist when I was 15 years old, Dr. Amy Hutro, asked my mom to leave the doctor's appointment room and talk to me about sex for the first time. And I was like a teenager still, and but it like was a spark that like lit the fire in my head that like I'm, you know, still like a normal dude. Like this kid, still is like, going to be a normal part of my life. And, how do I figure it out? Where do I go? What do I do? It was very liberating to kind of just have somebody recognize that. Like you're going to have sex one day. It's going to be part of your life. It's like perfectly normal. You're perfectly normal still. Here's the differences. Here's some tools. Here's some medication. If you are interested, if you are ever interested, this is what you want to ask about. This is what you want to talk about. This is the question to ask, or like, and that was just very cool. I wish I had like a conversation like this to listen to when I was like 14 or 15 years old, like trying to figure out like the roadmap of like you know Tom and his ability to have sex in the future. Because it yeah it was really important to me back then, and it was a huge part of I don't know, like my independence and my discover like becoming who I am. Like it sounds crazy, but um it was really important. And I don't know, like digging through the forums and going about it the hard way, it was tough. I don't still don't think there's like tons and tons and tons of resources and information, but there is more conversation being had out there. And fortunately, women, um, quads and paras, they're in the minority of these injuries. The majority of the studies have been done for men, because only 20% of women, or SCI, 20% of injuries, spinal cord injuries are women. So I don't know. It wasn't really until the last like 2 or 3 decades that more studies centered around women with paralysis and sexual function following injury work. But there are resources out there. There is information out there. If you find, that's your situation, you're a woman who we talk about kind of the guy side of it a lot. That's what you get with like three dudes sitting here having a conversation. We tried to have a lady on here today, and we're really excited to have continue the conversation with Rocky and Sarah in the future. But it's there is resources, there is information out there too. There's studies still being done now on both sides for men and women. There's new medications that are being researched. There's new sex toys being developed all the time. Accessibility in the sex toy industry is becoming like a very common thing. There's whole websites dedicated to it. There's whole sections of adult sex toy websites that are dedicated to like accessibility and accessible toys and things like that. So it is getting better. The conversation is being had more, and yeah, the fact that like disabled people are still like normal sexual beings as well is just kind of like a more common idea nowadays. Because I don't know, like I think 30 or 40 years ago, especially, like people didn't think disabled people had sex or had sexual feelings or still wanted to have sex. It's but definitely more common nowadays too. But in terms of like getting a partner, we are running out of time here. But relationships, dating, it's tough out there. How do you guys do it? How have you done it in the past? How's your success been with it?
Go ahead,
That's,
Sean.
I mean, yeah. All right. Well, I'm in a newer relationship now, the last few months.
Oh, come
And
in. Come on on. Just,
I don't think she wants to come on camera quite yet.
I know. I know.
But yeah, so it's been really nice. But yeah, I was single for a lot of years. Did dating, just met girls that I just didn't really see anything, any future with, and just dating was hard for like a lot like those years. It is very hard. Um, but when you do meet somebody that's like is special and you really connect with, make sure to put that time in there, the effort. That's what really I think like um, yeah, in my younger years, I feel like I maybe didn't put as much effort into relationships and building relationships early. So I feel like that was maybe one of my shortcomings early on, and but I also was just not as interested in a longer term relationship. I think I was having fun. I was living life, figuring out SCI life, traveling for rugby. Um, so it was difficult for a lot of years.
Yeah, but after your experience, I mean, beyond your current relationship, you've had, more than one relationship, like,
Yeah, been a
since you've
couple.
been paralyzed. And when it comes to dating and stuff, what is your advice in terms of like presenting yourself? Like, what are the mechanisms you've gone about like trying to meet women? Like, is it going out to a bar? Is it online dating? If it is online dating, do you show them your disability? Do you put a picture of yourself in your chair? Do you put it in your bio that you have are quadriplegic and stuff? Like, how does that work? How did it work for you?
When I was doing the online dating thing, which was hard, honestly, in a chair, I feel like it is a little bit more difficult. But I wasn't hiding my disability. I put pictures of me in my chair. I would, I put the main part of my bio, but then at the bottom, I put that little like asterisk caveat, whatever. Like, I have like I am a spinal cord injury, C5, C6 quadriplegic, and I use a wheelchair in my daily life. Like just in case they
First
didn't see the pictures with me in a wheelchair right there.
first line in
Um,
my dating profile bio, I'm a cool ass crip with a little handicap emoji.
See, and sometimes humor like that will work because people will think it's funny, like, oh, that's cool. He makes light of it, like, um, and I've tried to do that. I've put little, jokes. Like, I think I had a joke for a while on one of my old profiles about like getting good parking, like something stupid like that. Like, um, and I don't know. I just felt like trying to make light of it a little bit helped. Um, but I feel like it's hard. It's kind of who you are. The online dating I think can be good. Just take your time, and hopefully it might take a while to meet somebody. because I mean, not to sound mean, but like people are people are mean. People are like people see the wheelchair, and like I've actually had matches with people you like in past, and then because my first picture would just be like more of my face, but if you swipe to
I
the
think
second one or you opened it,
if you weren't in a wheelchair, that's like the worst
so
line you can get.
so
You
that's
know,
what,
it's
yeah, and
like
stuff like that. Like it's like then you can tell they actually looked at your profile and then they disappear. So like those ones, especially early on when I was a little younger, that stung a little bit. It didn't feel nice. You're like you start to like get into the back of your head, like, oh, is it because of the wheelchair? Am I never gonna find somebody that's gonna be okay with the wheelchair? And it's honestly not even the wheelchair. Once you start dating, it's getting into that bowel and bladder stuff, letting them know about your sexual function and all that. Like that all can like affect somebody's willingness and to be with you or to want to date somebody in a chair.
well,
So
here's the other thing too. Um, there's no lying. There's no lying to yourself. There's no lying. Like the cat's gonna be out of the bag eventually.
yes,
So you might as well just let it out from the start because you're just gonna weed out a lot of the people that just off the cuff aren't gonna be cool. Dating somebody with a disability, and nothing wrong with that. If they're just not a kind of person, is like willing to see, a person who also has a disability as a person. But you don't want to date that person anyways. Trust me. They are not cool, awesome, kind people that you want to be in a relationship with. Period. And here's the other thing too. Go into online if you do online dating, go into it with an understanding that the internet is a rough place. The anonymity that it grants people to be on the other side of a phone in a different location. Maybe even like you know behind like not even having to show their face or who they are. People are cruel. People feel really willing to be cruel in those instances where they can be anonymous and they can kind of be that way without any meaningful repercussion, outside of just like ending the conversation with the person that they're having it with. So go into it with a thick skin. It's tough. It can be very hard, and it can be really hard on your insecurities if that is something that you struggle with. I think everybody does to a certain extent, but if your insecurities surround your disability and how people perceive you, and especially like potential partners and stuff, let me tell you, it can take a toll. And that's just like from personal experience and bad experiences with people online and stuff. It's not impossible to meet people in person too.
yeah,
Go out there, be confident, be yourself. Like I promise you, that's sexy. That's sexy to somebody. And like that somebody is out there. Like just as you are. Sitting there looking beautiful. Just like you do. It might not be to everybody, but nobody is attractive to everybody. And the reality is our pool is definitely little smaller than maybe like the average like able-bodied person, but nonetheless,
That's
um,
it's better that way.
yeah,
And
it is better. It weeds
you're
out a
gonna
lot of the
find
bad people.
you're gonna find the one that has a bigger heart than the ones that don't want to be with someone that might have a disability when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
no, I think that's true for sure.
Yeah. Back in my day, we didn't have the internet and
Yeah,
dating sites, so
That's so crazy, Bobby.
I know, but no, we didn't. And I think it was just starting to come out when I met my wife, or it was starting to become more popular.
Yeah.
Um, and no, I didn't. I never made a profile. Never had to, thank God, go that route. It was, you know, I met somebody, a good friend of ours that we were talking about before. His accident happened, and his neighbor was uh, visiting him, and she was walking across the hall, and she goes, "Hey, what's up? Good looking." I'm like, "Here we go, let's go." And we dated for 3.5 years, 4 years almost, something like that. And okay, thank you. My wife's leaving. And So it was great because it just happened naturally. And then after that, it was more. Once I got out of it, I thought like, oh man, now this is and I'm the one who broke it off. I'm gonna have thanks, Wade. Um, but back when I was dating,
Don't say that, Wade. He's an old man.
He
He's
is
the great.
old. He is.
I
Definitely.
treat him old, Wade. Um, but I thought like, okay, now let's go do this again. It's easy to meet girls, and I found it kind of hard. But then also I found it kind of like, hey, I'm in my 20s. Let's go experience life. And if I meet somebody, I meet somebody. And that's what I did. I had a blast through my, second half of my 20s, till meeting my
Yeah.
wife. And then there was girls here and there, and from when I met them at going to this country bar that I used to go to with a friend of mine on Thursdays and Saturday nights. I met, a few people at the hospital where I used to mentor, and one was a OT secretary. Oh, she, oof. Yeah, too bad she had to move away. You know, there was somebody that was really into me, and we got together, and she came on way too strong, and then she was really mad at me when I, was just upfront with her that I just said, I'm just not into you. And then several months later, I said, I hate going to the hospital and you have to see me, and be pissed off. I'm sorry, whatever I did. And she goes, well, what did you think we had? And I said, I was just in it for the sex. She goes, oh, why didn't you tell me that? I'm like, well, that's what I was trying. But once you figure that out, it's like, all right, I guess I am too now. And I said, I'm not ready yet. And so those were all just being yourself. And, the checkout clerk gal, being yourself and being funny, they're going to discover, wow, this guy has something else. Now, not all the time I had one person that it wasn't for them. Once they saw the suprapubic catheter coming out, and this took a while. There wasn't Viagra yet until I met my wife. So, you know, and then I met my wife through a friend, but at country western dancing. So,
And you still have to deal with the normal stuff of a relationship too.
well, yeah,
Like
yeah,
it can be a little hard meeting the right person. I don't know, like I was dating like an awesome gal. It's kind of like a long distance thing. But we were meeting up and stuff, and but she like wanted to like get married and have babies and stuff, and I was just like, whoa, I'm still like in my mid 20s here. I don't know about all that, and I'm like, oh, I gotta pump the brakes, like all that stuff. You still got to navigate all the crazies. You still got to navigate all the, crazy parts of dating and relationships and stuff. You still got to, you know, be a good partner and figure out how to be in a relationship and balance, the relationship and balance the disability stuff. And, it can be a wild, tricky balance, and you feel like you're juggling like 50 different plates, like trying to be a good partner, trying to take care of yourself. Like my current girlfriend, awesome, lovely, beautiful, amazing Kit Kat, love you. Like the first like year we were dating, like I got this like I was transferring and like staying like at her place so much. I got like a pressure sore on my elbow just because I was like doing all these crazy transfers. I was like always like leaning on my elbows and stuff, and I was just like outside of my normal environment. And I just like kind of was like, okay, got lost in the relationship a little bit. I was like not taking care of myself the best I should have. But I do just want to like talk about this too. Um, I know it can be really frustrating. I know it can be very uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, it can feel impossible. you feel like it's never gonna happen. Um, I I've just talked to a lot of guys who've struggled dating, struggled one with self love. Like you got to love yourself first before you can love somebody else, at least the right, healthy way, and let love in too. I mean, I promise you that. Like, if you don't love yourself, you're gonna have a really hard time letting someone else love you, because because your own brain's gonna get in the way. And this is like so weird. Like, how do you start to love yourself? I don't know the answer to that, but all I know is that caring for yourself, feeling good about who you are, feeling confident about how you present yourself to the world and how people perceive you, and stuff as part of self love. Taking care of yourself and doing right by yourself. Not getting down on yourself. And let me tell you, dude, I'm the first person to get down on old Tom here, and I can really. Get down on myself sometimes. But I have learned how to glow myself up and, look in the mirror and be like, damn, Tom, you're looking sexy today, bro. Like, you're so beautiful. Like, look at those strong shoulders and that sexy body and that beautiful smile. And it sounds silly, but,
Positive
like
affirmations, bro. That's what
I
that.
did have to learn that. Like I did have to learn that for myself. Like before, even able to like hear that from somebody else, and that's hard. It's super super hard, especially when you're not feeling that. You know, um, and it's a journey. It's a journey for everybody. You can talk to a therapist. You can, go a lot of different routes. What helped give me a lot of self love was finding the disabled community, finding all these guys down here in SoCal and the Triumph family and the Live Troll family and stuff. Uh, and I was also really blessed with an incredible family. Like my mom, my dad, and my brother and sister have been giving me like endless love and uh, you know positive words and encouragement and love for my whole life. Um, so I did have a good base, and I'm very lucky and fortunate for that. But that's big. That's a big thing, and it really comes across when like dating and talking to people and stuff. Like if you're down on yourself, like it's just not an attractive feature. And like people potential partners and stuff aren't gonna um, they can't be the only ones that giving you the love. Like you gotta love yourself too.
But I'll tell you this, it's what you give off is how I've met so many people and had dated because I hold myself in, and a lot of people know my saying. I live the rock star life,
Yeah,
because of my chair, and
yeah,
you know every time I'm at the store, I'm either trying to find my stuff, and everyone, you know my wife gets not too jealous, but she's like, holy cow, you can have anybody you want because these girls all know you. They always ask about you when I go to CVS. They're always wondering how you're doing at Trader Joe's. When I go to Stater Brothers, they're, the dog food place, they're always like, oh, how's your husband? Oh man, he's so wonderful. My wife's just like, oh my, I'm so sick of hearing your name out there, because I just put off that persona, and there's
you
not
got some crazy magic with grocery store workers or what, Bobby?
I know.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
yes, I do have some,
Yeah, well, I know I'm the same way, Bobby. Like whenever I don't know anybody that knows me knows how I am out in public and stuff. Like I talk to everybody, I engage with everybody, I smile at everybody, I try to compliment everybody. And I'm just like loud. I'm a loud personality. Like I'm engaging with everybody around me all the time. I don't know why I do it. I don't know why I'm this way. Just like to thank my mom and dad. That's probably why I'm this way. Um, but it stands out to people, dude. People see that and people love that, and I don't know, some people just really latch onto it. It's like that energy and uh that that person you're living, like we're living, and that I think is just a really attractive feature. Like if nothing else, like it stands out in people's minds. Like the reason they ask about Bobby is because they remember him. They stuck out in his brain. Like, I think that beautiful smile. Every time like Bob pops into my head. Absolutely. Because I'm one of those grocery store workers too. It's like, who is this rock star Bobby Rohan? But I'm just kind of the same way. I try to feel confident. I try to feel good. And like when people stare at me driving and I'm cruising down the sidewalk and stuff, like, oh, they're not staring at the wheelchair. I'm just like, damn, dude, I must be looking good today. I'm getting a lot of side eyes, baby. And like it is a little silly and stuff. And it's probably not the reason they're staring, but like I don't care. Like it makes me feel good. To like just kind of glow myself up and like have that confidence in myself. And don't get me wrong, people, like I don't sustain that every day. I am not that every day. Like many, many days I struggle with that. But be confident. Be confident. I know it's so hard sometimes to be confident and feel confident in the situation we're in. But I promise you, if you can project it, even if you're not feeling it, it's like that thing. Like I always say when I'm in a bad attitude or a sad mood or something, like even if I don't feel like smiling, sometimes I'll just try to put the smile on my face. And next thing you know, like I'm actually smiling because, like I'm feeling good. I got a reason to smile. The confidence thing can be a thing too. Like
It can
I
be a
can't tell
big
you how many times
attraction.
I've gone out on a Friday night feeling insecure, like feeling nervous. Like I swear I still like I'll go out to meet my best friends of like a decade or more. And like my tongue is like all tingly and like I'm nervous just going out, like to go interact with people and friends and be around strangers and stuff. But um once I'm there, I turn it on. Like, sorry, it's almost like a performance, like I do, like, even if I'm not feeling the confidence, even if I'm feeling my insecurities, like I try to project it, I try to be loud, I try to engage, I make eye contact, I smile and stuff. And next thing you know, I feel confident because I'm talking to, people at the bar, like people are buying me drinks, like, I'm meeting people, I'm having fun with my homies and stuff. And, like all those thoughts and insecurities and stuff that were floating around in my brain just evaporate and just go away. And um, I'm, the power chair, the disability, my goofy looking gangly arms and my quad paws and stuff, not a thought in the world. In fact, like I'm feeling it. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling how unique and different I am than everybody else, And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful feeling. And it especially I think to people who are perceiving it from the outside, if you're single and you're trying to date and stuff, like it's a really attractive feature. It like truly, truly is. I think probably one of the most attractive features somebody can have, is like confidence in themselves and, kind of like feeling themselves, like not in a douchey way, like, oh, I'm the shit, be humble people.
There's a
But
difference between
uh,
like confidence and
exactly,
cocky.
Well,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
but also everybody wants to be with somebody who's positive and not negative. Somebody who's upbeat and can, show like whatever's happening in my life, this guy, can really get over those hurdles. And look at him doing this, look at him doing that, look at her, um, achieving this. It goes on both ways. I know we're talking more on the as a man side, and we have a few of our great, female listeners out there. It goes both ways, and just showing your confidence and getting yourself out there. I know it's hard to, let's just say, go to a bar on your own. Find a friend, go with them. Go to something that is fun out there, and that's going to country western dancing. Hello, that's a
Yeah.
lot of line dancing. No, that doesn't work. And then when they do go around in circles, I just started figuring out, something, and here, grab my hand and you're kind of leading me. My chair will go. And then next thing you know, we're doing the spins and people, all the girls want to dance with me.
Go to meetup.com. It's not a dating website or anything like that. It's a website for groups of people with similar interests, whether that's trading or sewing or Pokemon cards or video games or kayaking, running, exercising, you name it. There's groups of individuals out there. I don't know. It's one of the things I really, really encourage people to
Yeah.
do is, like if you feel like you're trying to, find a partner, want to date and stuff, go out and get involved in groups with people with similar interests. Be
Stuff like that's
yourself,
great
and,
because you are
and
meeting people with similar interests, like Tom said. And if you can just make that connection with somebody, like you don't have to go into it trying to hook up with every person in the meetup group. You just go into it trying to meet people, make friends, and sometimes you could. That's the place to find the right, like find your partner. So,
yeah.
sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to interrupt too much.
No, dude, perfect little anecdote to add on to what I was saying, Shawn. Thank you for interrupting me. Bobby, I know you kind of had a hard out at 4:40 today. We're 7 minutes over that. I don't know if there was anything else we wanted to try to touch on. This is a super big topic, you guys. Honestly, we could probably sit here for the next 3 or 4 hours and talk about experiences and stories and tips and tricks and
But
the ins and
also,
outs of all of it.
and also,
But
yeah, because we are going to bring back the female perspective, and I think that's where we do shorthand some of our audience out there. We don't have that representation today, and we Shawn had it all lined up. We're going to be more, want to do that more in that kind of light. And if you want to join this Thursday at 3:30 for Rolling Over the Hill for us old guys, but we have a special guest. Ellen Stoll is going to be on our program, and if you don't know Ellen Stoll or her name, look her up. She was the first female with a disability to pose in Playboy. And so,
it's a, it's a funny
she,
story.
what's that?
Doctor, it's a funny story. Dr. Stoll is a teacher at the university that I attended, and I met her in her teaching capacity, like Dr. Stoll, and I needed to email her about something that we were talking about in regards to like the campus gym and accessible equipment and stuff. And I go to Google her name to get her teacher email, and it's the first thing I see is like Ellen Stoll, first female paraplegic Playboy model. And I was just like, oh, well, that was a surprise. I wasn't really expecting that, but it was just super funny. But beyond that, Dr. Stoll is a doctor, extremely learned, experienced person who's been in a chair for a long time, an incredible member of our community who's done a lot, I think, in the way of forwarding the progress of representation for women with disabilities and just people with disabilities in general, and has continued to educate the next generation in um, the understanding disability and being good people. And
And
I'm
I,
really
I
excited for Thursday's show.
and if you can find it on YouTube, because now you can find anything, but the old talk show, his name was Donahue.
Oh,
He interviewed a great interview with her and on that show. But she was really the first female and to really put in light that, people, women especially with disabilities, are still a attractive sexual person.
Yeah.
It's not like it's over. We still, enjoy the same things as every other, woman out there. And just because I have a disability doesn't mean I can't be in Playboy. Doesn't mean that I'm not having sex. Doesn't mean that I don't want to, I want a good
It
time with.
doesn't mean that me and Shawn and Bobby can't start a live to roll OnlyFans.
Yeah. So it's going to be on our show this Thursday, 3:30. Mark your calendar. I can't wait to have her on. She's a personal friend of mine. We've been friends for 28 years, 29 years, and done a lot together. I knew her before. She was a doctor, so I don't call her a doctor. I know you had a class with her, but I knew her
I
before she
actually
got
did have a
married.
class with her. I just spoke in one of her classes about the Triumph Foundation and volunteering with disability organizations and stuff. But Dr. Stoll is also a friend of mine, and had a lot of opportunity to get to know her. And again, someone who I hugely, hugely respect. Was an awesome teacher, an awesome human being and has an awesome family. So she's great, and we've actually had her on the show before.
That was our very
Talking
first sex show we
talking
did.
about it.
Yeah.
It was one of the best
That was the
episodes.
very first time we did that a
one of
couple
our-
years ago.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
of our
look,
good.
look in our past shows. So look in the year 2020.
It probably wasn't 2020, yeah.
Yeah, it was 2020. So look that
Right at
up.
the end of.
You can find
And
that.
before Bobby and Ellen and the awesome Shawn Thursday, you know what it is with T Fizzle Gaming. We're bringing you adaptive gaming live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. We have an awesome community of amazing people. Our buddy Surab, who just spent the weekend in Arizona with us, is going to be online with me, hanging out. We're going to get started with some Fortnite. I'm going to play some Starfield after, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you guys are into the gaming stuff, or you just want to come and hang out, then please come and stop by. It's always a lot of fun. We always have a great time hanging, and yeah. Also, should I do our sponsors real quick? Shawn?
Yeah, you can do sponsors.
Real quick.
Big shout out, Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. Mobility Professionals is a rehabilitation equipment company here in Southern California. Fortunately, you have to be in SoCal to benefit from their services, but if you are lucky enough to be here in SoCal, please give them a call if you need wheelchairs or other similar rehabilitation equipment. Urology Professionals is their sister company. They are national, however, so if you need catheter supplies, any kind of urological supplies, they are your company. I promise. You will not regret giving them a call. Let them know Live sent you. If you do end up needing their services, then give them a call. We owe them a lot. They give us a lot of love and support, so show them some love for us. We appreciate it. And that's it, people.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you guys checking out the show.
Shawn's over here
Next week,
producing.
what's that? Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Shawn's over here producing in the background.
trying to get all our logos and
Dude,
stuff. I got.
you're a legend, bro.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you guys, and appreciate you guys all in the chat. Thanks for watching. Tune in, like Tom said, tomorrow. Watch the gaming. Thursday, rolling over the hill. Great content. And then next week we'll have Brianna back at the women's show. I think we forgot to show that flyer, so let me just pull up Brianna for a quick second. Yeah, Brianna show next Thursday, the third Thursday. She's actually gonna be the third and fourth Thursday this week. This month. We switched it up. So, all right, you guys, everyone, have a great day, great night. Live to roll. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe,
Take care.
follow us on social medias.
Live to roll. See you tomorrow night.